Good morning, everybody. It is Mike from Baltimore Rides here. It is Saturday, September 2nd. Making a kind of a morning video. I'm out running errands. It's morning for me. It's 2:24 in the afternoon, but that is morning for me, guys. And I just wanted to make a quick video, and I'll tell you for why. Because I'm a little frustrated, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little bit frustrated, but you know, it's in every industry I've ever worked in, and I've done a lot of things in 40 years. I really have. I've done a lot of different things. I've had a lot of different jobs. I was always kind of a gypsy, so I changed careers too much, probably. But you know, in all of those different walks of life, there's two camps of employees or workers, whatever you want to call it. There's the old regime, those people that are hearkening back to a prior day that, you know, when the business ran differently, this is what we used to do. And then there's new people coming in who only know it the way they're learning it. And Uber is, you know, and I say Uber, I mean Uber and Lyft. I kind of include Lyft in that conversation. Uber is my predominant source of income, so I talk about Uber, you know, predominantly. But, you know, ride sharing, ironically enough, for an industry that's only 6 or 7 years old, already has those two camps of people, those two groups. It already has the drivers that are, you know, back in the old days, you know, comparing things from 2017 to things several years ago. And, you know, a part of me smiles when I say that, because there's a level of irony there that industries can evolve that quickly, that people can compare something from 2012 or 2013 as the good old days. But, you know, this is an industry that's attracting a lot of new drivers, myself included. You know, I started in May. You guys know that if you've been following me for a while. But, you know, myself included. I've only been driving for, what is it? It's almost 4 months now. You know, May, June, July, August, 4 months. There you go. So, you know, it's an industry that is growing. It's an industry that is nowhere near at its saturation point. A saturation point is kind of a scientific term that I'm repurposing, you know, to mean, you know, it's reached the point of, you know, where it can't grow anymore. And I don't believe ride sharing has reached that point or is anywhere close to that point. The taxi cab industry is still very much alive. You know, the shuttle buses and all the other modes of transportation that are out there, you know, they're still out there. And so ride sharing is probably going to be like an Amazon industry or a Walmart industry. It's probably going to redefine how people get around, but it's going to take time to do that. And it has not happened yet. So I need more gel in my hair. You know, it's ironic to me, and there is a level of irony, you know, that I can sort of smile about, that there's the old and the new camp already. But I respect that, you know. However, just because it worked yesterday or a year ago or 2 years ago or whatever the number is prior to this morning doesn't mean it's going to work today. This industry is evolving. The nature of business is evolving. Heck, when I started driving for Uber back in May, there wasn't an airport parking lot at BWI. We were all kind of lurking about in the cell phone lot, on the shoulders. Some of us were sitting at the gas station down the street. You know, the queue encompassed a much broader area of BWI's, you know, facility. And so we could really all sit, you know, wherever and wait. And we all had kind of spots that we liked. But, and I'm sure that was fine, and I'm sure it worked. You know, were there still Uber and Lyft drivers working that airport? I believe so. However, once Uber and Lyft both decided that, hey, we need to come up with an actual contractual agreement with BWI Airport, we need a piece of land, we need a parking lot, and then, you know, lo and behold, a couple days later, right on the Uber app for everyone to see is, if you're driving at the airport, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and it literally tells you step by step, this is where you go, this is what you do. You know, Uber's business model isn't really based around airport rides. It's not. They're a good source of income for a lot of people, and obviously they're customers, the passengers, which are really the customers for Uber and Lyft, that need to get from point A to point B. So you're always going to have people being taken to the airport, and you're always going to have people being picked up from the airport by ride-sharing services. You know, that's the new world that we live in. So for BWI to make a contractual agreement and obviously get a little piece of the pie, because now they get a airport fee, it made sense for everybody. We don't have to lurk clandestinely. We don't have to kind of hide away from the Transportation Authority police that were, always chasing us off shoulders, and we weren't supposed to be at the cell phone lot. So we were being evasive to try and do our business and take care of our customers. And that's not a great way to operate at all. So this is, this airport lot makes sense. It makes sense. However, it publicizes that this is a business model. And, it's, think about the evolution over the past couple months. Now Uber is actually notifying drivers of long trips. Now, for some reason, I haven't seen any long trips since the update went out, I guess more than a week ago. I've certainly gotten rides that were long, but none that had the little long trip tag on it. But that might just be me. There's a luck of the draw element to this stuff. But for them to acknowledge that, hey, there's a customer base that typically takes longer trips, which is kind of a wink and nod to the airport, I think, and the train station. We're going to flag those rides separately so that the driver knows. It's a smart thing to do. It's also smart for the part-timers that are maybe working in the city or working out in the suburbs who don't have the time or means to get to the airport, to be able to take that passenger on that 45-minute, ride. So I get that too. So it's very interesting to me that Uber's evolving in response to not only its customers, but its drivers. The passengers are evolving, and then the whole business model evolves with it. And so you've already gotten well, this is what we used to do, and this is how it used to work, and this is how much we used to make. And then you've got the 2017 group of drivers like myself, that we only know it one way. We only know it the way it is today. And we're maybe a little bit more adaptive because we don't really have the years and years and years of this is how it used to be in the back of our mind. Because once you get into that mindset, it's tough. I mean, I'm 40 years old. I look at my daughter who's 12 and I get frustrated by some of the things she says and does. And I think to myself, well, wait a minute, now I'm the old parent, trying to relate to a younger preteen. And I remember what it was like when I was the preteen and my parents couldn't relate to me. So I understand that's just the nature of things. But that's where this is a tricky business model. You guys have seen my frustrations. You've definitely seen my wins and losses over the past several months, is that you have to be able to adapt. In this business model, you have to be able to adapt. What worked a year ago might not work tomorrow. What worked 2 weeks ago might not work tomorrow. This has been a tough summer for a lot of drivers that drove prior summers, who've told me that, it was different. It was just a different summer. And I've talked with a lot of them, and we've had these conversations, casually about, well, what's different? Is it the airport queue? Is it the amount of drivers? Is it the amount of riders? What is it? And it's kind of an intangible. I think it takes a little bit of, it's not one easy answer. I think it's multiple variables. But at the end of the day, we all just have to, we have to evolve and we have to adapt. And, Uber's a great business tool, but that's all it is a tool. They don't really provide you with a lot of education or tutorials or how-to videos. I was at the last meeting, whatever it was, a few weeks ago, and another driver who I know, who's new like myself, she said to the Uber employee there at the meeting, what happened to the, the Uber for Beginners classes that you used to hold? And he said, oh, we haven't held them in months, and we don't really see like we're going to be holding them anymore. So, there's a sense from Uber that they're going to provide the tool and some very, very basic information on how to, and that's it. That's it. And it's up to us to learn on our own or to learn from each other. And that's kind of what I'm doing here is, I'm trying to help the learning curve. It doesn't take food out of my plate or, money out of my pocket to help someone else get better, because there's not a saturation point yet. And I strongly, strongly believe that. There's enough riders and enough passengers and enough of everything out there as the market grows and more people use the tools, that there's business for everybody. And I can tell that because there's all these ridiculous surge blooms all over the place. Towson, Catonsville, Randallstown, Owings Mills, down in DC, there was surge all outside of the greater DC area last night. So it tells me that there's riders requesting rides and there aren't cars close by. That's kind of the nuts and bolts of what surge is there's not enough drivers for the passenger demand at that moment. Now, we all know that surge is kind of an elusive beast and you don't really want to chase it, but it does tell you that, just maybe in the past couple days, the college kids are back. A lot of things are turning around now that the summer season is over. Vacation mode is pretty much over as of this weekend. So I think we're going to see a higher demand for rides as we get into college season and school comes back, and you got a lot of high school kids using Uber. But that again, if your plan isn't working, you need a plan B. You guys have seen me. Sometimes I've had to go plan C, plan D on some nights where I was just struggling. So, and this is my evolution. You guys have seen me from day one where I was just driving in the city. And I didn't like the airport. Then you saw me kind of get into a love-hate relationship with the airport because I saw that you could make money there, but I get frustrated. Now you see me working the airport. And then now, just really these past couple days, since I switched my Uber account to DC, you see me working DC because, I'm getting promotions like Quest and Boost that, that allow me to work smarter, not harder. Last night was a long night. I mean, it was, my typical shift, but it was 21 rides. And I haven't done a 21 ride night in a long time. So it's different. It's a very different process than what I've been used to for the past few months. But if I can make good money doing that, then that's another avenue I'm going to take. And it might vary week to week. I don't know how Boost works. I don't know how they decide who gets what. I don't. Next week's Boost might be crappy. And I might say, okay, it's not worth me slogging it out in DC. I'll go back to Reagan or BWI or whatever. But that's where you have to evolve and just take it day by day. You have to take it day by day. I wanted to make these Boost goals that I have right now. It's a free $150 if I get the certain amount of rides that I have to get. And I also wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to challenge myself to see if I could do it. And to see what kind of money could be made down there. And I made $210 last night without Boost, just driving in the city. I did 4 or 5 rides. I think I did 5. I don't know, maybe it was 4 or 5. I did 4 or 5 rides out of Reagan. They were all ridiculously short. I don't think a single one of them was a double-digit payout. They were all $8, $9, $7. And again, it's an airport queue. That's the luck of the draw. It was quick. You were in and out. You could get in and out really fast, but there's not going to be any gigantic paydays at that airport, and I already know that. Very, very rarely are you going to get a long, long trip out of there. Some people are just super lucky, but I'm not one of those people. I have to work for it. But if you watched my video from last evening, the transition changed from me going back and forth to Reagan to I was starting to, the increase in volume arrived and, around 9 o'clock-ish, and I started to get more and more rides just off the street. And once that happened, that was the direction I went in, was I said, okay, I don't need to keep running back to Reagan every 10 minutes. And I didn't, at that point I started just taking more city rides, and it worked out just as well. So, does it mean I'm never going to go back to BWI? No. Does it mean that, if I have a week with bad Boost and Quest, I might hang out at BWI or even Baltimore? Yeah, I don't know. There's just so many variables, guys. There's so many variables. And there's, Towson is a market that I made money in right before school got out in May. And I was talking about it yesterday. I wanted to get back to Towson, but I was just too far away and I couldn't. And I was making money where I was, so you're not going to leave good fishing grounds to go somewhere else. You know, if you're on the money, you're going to stay on the money. That's rule number one. So this is a long video, and I apologize. But just as I'm, this coming back from vacation, I really want to use this tool a little bit differently, and I really want to not necessarily post more. I mean, I have been the past couple days because of circumstances, but I want to just kind of give you guys more of my internal engine of what I'm thinking about and what I'm struggling with. And, I'm saying things kind of delicately, because some of those people that are in the old regime, group of how it used to be are frustrated. They're very frustrated, and I understand why, and I respect why they're frustrated, and I don't demean them for that. But, as in anything in life, you have to evolve. Business models say you have to evolve. You have to always be thinking about what you can do next. And there's some guys that I talk with, who are like me, and we're brainstorming. What can we do? What can we do? What hasn't been done? And I'm not going to go there because that's really not a conversation I want to put on YouTube. But, there's ideas that are out there. There's great ideas that I think some of us have. And then there's ideas that we troubleshoot and we pick them apart, and they have flaws in them. But the idea is that we have to always be thinking about what can we do differently? How can we grow this business or evolve this business, and get a piece of that pie? So I'm going to leave it at that, guys. I got to run in. I got some stuff in the back of the car. I got to get inside. So I'm going to get inside. I'm going to get something to eat, and then I'm going to get out on the road. Here we go.